covering the world of professional wrestling from coast to coast. A show by members of the Busted Open Nation. Welcome to the Nation Corner. Here are your hosts, the Nation Corner crew.
Hey, what's up, pro wrestling fans? Welcome to Nation's Corner. I am Front Row, and with me, as always, Deb Housen, the great and powerful, Tony Justice, the greatest truck driver of all time, and joining us tonight is Mongrovian Mike. What's up, people?
What's up?
What's happening?
Well, we are playing with a new toy tonight. We're on a new platform. We're going to try out some new fun things. Oh, we got a little banner going on here now.
Oh yeah, Sports Center in the house.
Yeah, see all our people. We got Shofi in the house.
Shofi.
Guido.
Shout out to Shofi, the keeper of the weekly winner tally.
Yep. Awesome. And we have a special guest this week. Mike, why don't you tell us who's going to be joining us later in the show?
We're going to have a very special guest. His name is Mitch Roulsten from Hasttel Collectible Toys and figures. And it's just going to be a real special show. He just opened up a brand new store and relocated in Canton, Ohio, and he's very active on Instagram, and he just does a lot of claim and DM sales and a bunch of figures, all from horror figures, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Star Wars, a ton of wrestling stuff and memorabilia, and he has signings at his store, and hopefully we get Thunder Rosa there one day. And he's just an all-around good guy, and I've gotten to know him really well over the past year, and it's going to be a fun interview.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yes.
We'll look forward to that. So before we jump into all the stuff that we saw on TV this week, it was a very eventful week in Busted Open. On Friday, Thunder Rosa and Dave LaGreca were joined by JP Harlow. I don't know what JP's problem is with Dave. He seems to have an issue with Dave, but they had some words. There was definitely some unkind things said from JP. You guys, we had JP on the show last year, and I thought he was fairly pleasant. I don't know what's happened to him since then, but obviously he's has a different attitude these days than he did when he was on the Nation's Corner. So, as it seems right now, Dave's going to be stepping into the ring, possibly against JP Harlow on December 10th at Silver Bells in San Antonio for Mission Pro. I know that there was some talk about him maybe looking for another partner, or I'm not really sure what that's going to look like. But so if Dave were to partner up with somebody against JP and his manager, who do you think would be a good fit?
Oh my God.
I see you, Brian. JP is a god.
Brian.
Look.
Yeah, I don't know who could be JP's partner. I'm sure he will find someone good. I was team JP because, like you said, he was great when we had him on the show. I'm a fan, became a fan. So I was team JP, and then he called our prince, David LaGreca, a bag of milk.
He did say that.
I'm not sure where that came from. Yeah, like you said, what's his problem with Dave? Why has he got a problem with Prince Dave, our prince, my
liege? Is it whole milk, 2% milk, chocolate milk? What is it?
So I think where this is all coming from is JP was sour that he didn't get a shot in that championship tournament at the last pay-per-view. But he can't take it out on Thunder because Thunder Rosa is currently not cleared for action. We all know how that would end anyway. She would probably kick his ass. I
mean, we've seen it before.
Right.
Third time's a charm, maybe?
Well, no, I'm talking about JP. I'm talking about JP.
Oh, JP.
Yeah. Because, at one point, Dave and Thunder had talked about on the show teaming together against someone else. And now JP's inserted himself in the conversation. And, Thunder's not cleared for action. Dave and maybe someone else can get in there and stir things up. So we'll have to wait and see where this goes. But I'm interested because I think God, and a lot of us are gonna be in San Antonio for this show, and going all that way to see Dave get beat up again. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I see. Brian. See, this is
Brian. See, Brian. Now Brian's starting trouble.
Oh my God. Yeah. All I did was send out an innocent tweet. I said, "Oh, maybe Dave could bring our boy Leo Sparrow."
Yes.
As a partner, because I know Dave is good friends with Leo, and so am I.
Throw some broccoli at him.
Loves Leo. Yeah, and then he sends back. He tells me to cram it in my cram hole. First of all, I don't know what the hell that means, but hold on. I gotta wet my whistle first of all. I can drink broken skull too and talk tough.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I have a Starlight Coke Zero.
Or what? Where does he get off? The guy doesn't even know how to pump freaking gas into a truck.
No, he knows how to pump gas.
What am I supposed to do? I have a cane, and I'll wrap you with my cane, you pencil neck geek.
Okay.
Well, the Nation's Corner is going to be rolling deep that weekend. I think we've got more than a dozen of us traveling from all over the country to be there. It's going to be a fun show. I'm going to be interested to see what matchups are announced the coming weeks rather. It's going to be a lot of fun.
No, you're not going to put Brian's post up.
I've got I can't look over there to the right of my screen.
I can't. No, I can't. Brian's going to get us canceled one of these days.
Oh God. Well, I mean, if anything was going to get us canceled, I mean, that's probably the least worrisome thing.
That's probably true. Anywho, so I wanted to touch on a few things. I want to actually, I see that our guest is in the green room. We're going to get to him in just a moment, but let's cover a couple things on this list before we go to Mitch. Top of my list, obviously, we're going to talk about the White Rabbit stuff in a minute. But the stuff that they're doing with the Bloodline and Sami Zayn continues to get better. It's been 2 years, and they're still telling a story that I'm interested in, and I'm more interested in it this week than I was last week or the week before. Everything they're doing with Sami and Jay and the dynamic that they had last night between Sami and Jey Uso. Sami, to me, is like that younger brother that keeps getting away with crap. And Roman's allowing it, and Jimmy's not seeing it. And at some point, Jay's going to get sick of being made to look like a fool and expose Sami. Mm-hmm. And I'm here for all of it. And of course, Solo's, the muscle for Sami, and all the little intricacies of the things that they're doing, especially like last night, they had that moment at the changing room door, at the locker room door, which was pretty cool. How are you guys feeling about where they're going with this? Are you still interested?
Oh, for sure. I think it's only getting more and more interesting as the weeks go on. I think this is one hell of a run for Roman Reigns. The other day, someone in Sledge's Twitch chat said that this current run that Roman Reigns is on is almost like a Stone Cold or Rock run. Like it's been a little over 2 years. More than that, since the Bloodline that storyline kind of started, and this is just it's one for the books, really. I mean, this is gonna probably go down in history as one of the best storylines of this era. And I just think that shout out to Steve and Money Mark in the chat.
Yeah, y'all are looking good.
Guys? Yeah.
There's a lot of people
get in the chat.
So I think it's just brilliant the way this has been done. Roman Reigns has come such a long way in the last several years. I definitely think he's been working with his cousin Dwayne and kind of probably getting some pointers from him, especially on promo work. He's just improved so much.
Yeah. at first, I haven't really been on board with Sammy, and I'm going to be the one in the room, the odd one in the room, I guess. But I never really was a big Sammy fan. I know him and Kevin Owens had some great matches back and forth as Sammy as El Generico and stuff. And I wasn't really digging the Fidel Castro look, that he had going on.
Mhm.
But ever since he got with Roman and this storyline and the bloodline, Sammy just forces you to watch him on your screen, because he can be in the ring, he could be backstage, he can be in the dressing room, he can be on Twitter, and he's money. This whole thing, and I don't know how it's going to end, but it is definitely entertaining to watch on SmackDown. And he's been on Raw too. He was on Raw this past Monday. So I mean, yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mike,
I'm loving the whole thing. I see it going down, like I've said before. It's going down a Godfather path, but it could go down two paths. It could go down the other one too, the Tom Hagen path. Sorry, Tom. You're not full Uso. You can't be letting it go the other way. Kate looking in. He's Kate. Sammy's Kate looking in, and you see Paul Heyman just come to the door like the consigliere. The wise man comes to the door and slowly closes the door in Kate's face at the end of The Godfather 2 or 1. That.
Well, now you just spoiled it for me. What the hell?
I didn't spoil nothing.
Shout out to Trent in the chat. Trent,
I didn't tell you about the cannolis.
So, did you guys notice that almost every week, in some way, Kevin Owens is in the background, or he's doing something to interact with the storyline without actually interacting with the storyline? Like, I have a feeling that Sammy and Kevin have concocted this whole scheme for Kevin to finally get back at Roman, like a sleeper agent kind of thing.
Right.
Maybe we'll see.
Interesting.
That's another interesting.
To your point,
whatever the way they go, they got us, man, because that story is, and slowly there's another one, the White Rabbit's creeping up on it. But I mean, head of the table is the story of the year, and deservedly so. That's why he got the PWI top spot.
Yeah. So why don't we talk about that a little bit? So every week, every episode of Raw or SmackDown, there's been hints, there's been Easter eggs, QR codes, teasers, all kinds of stuff going on. And then each of the QR codes takes you a video that you basically have to dissect like a surgeon, because there's so much hidden stuff. We're sitting there for hours after the show gets off the air, trying to figure out what the coordinates are and what the DNA strand looks like. And it's like, it's so, and then you look at it, but it does actually mean something. It's like every show you have to break down the 10 things that this speaks to.
And now, we kind of have realized that every little detail in those clues means something. So
my show, I have no idea.
I see a QR code.
I set it up, and these QR codes were here.
Oh,
that's so weird.
Even my Bobby Orlando goat had one. Follow that, people. This is the answer.
What is that? What is
I don't
know. Let me look. Let me see what it is.
A clue.
Huh? Oh, it's our QR page. It's our page. Look at that. That's awesome, man.
Interesting.
Wow.
We're goofballs.
So I think we talked about this, over the last few weeks, but like we all expect it to be Bray Wyatt or something, some version of him, but I don't even care. Like, this is the best heralding of a rather than just showing a vignette or coming soon or some lame Twitter post. They have this whole underground, and they haven't even said anything on TV about it. And there was, the guy standing behind commentary last night, and there's all these little things. And WWE's doing it. They released merchandise, which, all right, I think that was kind of cheesy, but I get they're trying to make money off of it.
Right, yeah.
But I don't care. Like, I want to know if we assume that Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda is an incredibly creative person, he's not going to just come back and do the same shit he did 3 years ago. This is going to be something different, and I'm excited to see what it's going to be.
Yeah. And we saw on Busted Open this afternoon, they played a little audio from Seth Rollins' interview with Ariel Helwani. And he said that Wyndham Rotunda is one of the most creative people that he's ever known. And obviously he would love to work with him again. And he's so good at reinventing himself into different characters and stuff. So I think we know now that it's Bray Wyatt, whatever iteration of him that these clues are leading us to. I want to shout out Steve, who said in the Busted Open Facebook page that the White Rabbit is not the person. It's the White Rabbit is what we're chasing while it leads us to whatever it is. So, I keep seeing people in various different online communities say, like, who's the White Rabbit? Who's the White Rabbit? We got to stop saying who's the White Rabbit and start saying who's the White Rabbit leading us to.
Yeah, I thought that was just understood. I always thought that we understood that was because you would follow the White Rabbit. Alice had to follow the White Rabbit.
Yeah, follow the White Rabbit.
Yeah. So it's interesting. And I wonder if, and so we talked about this last night. Is the White Rabbit going to be a character? Like, what is his character going to be like? Is it going to be more supernatural? Is it going to be creepier like the original Wyatt family? Is it going to be something completely new and different? Probably. I've seen people say that it's the Wyatt Rabbit, which, all right, it works from a naming perspective, but it doesn't really work anywhere else.
Yeah.
I'm super excited though, because I get like every day I log in and someone's like, "Oh, did you see this?" And I'm like, "No, I missed another clue." Like, there was like some number buried in the corner of one of the videos, and it turned out to be the number on his hat from a previous Firefly Funhouse episode. I'm like, who figured this shit out? Well,
right.
And can I say once he appears, he doesn't have to get away. He could not touch a ring for a year, as far as I'm concerned. Just have him mess around with everyone's head in that roster, on that roster.
Yeah,
that's what I want to say.
That was
going back when you're saying overdoing it was like remember when it was the Firefly Funhouse? At first it was like, oh, what's this? And it just popped up, and all of a sudden it was like Cole and Graves had to every 5 seconds coming up the Funhouse. The Funhouse is coming. Oh, we're gonna have the Funhouse.
Yeah.
I hate that. I like it as a surprise.
That became too commercialized.
Yeah.
It wasn't a fun, like, kind of side thing anymore.
Right. So Mrs. Rose says, I think it was the Rabbit Puppet Friend. So that's Ramblin' Rabbit. And Ramblin' Rabbit was the character that kept getting killed over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But this week's video showed versions. It didn't actually show Huskus, but it showed versions and videos or images of pigs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like different components of everything that made Bray Wyatt. Maybe just leading us to something completely new. So,
right.
I don't know, man. It's funny because like when we were watching Bailey do that promo last night, I wasn't watching Bailey. I was looking over her shoulder. I'm like, is there someone back there?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? But it makes you look like you can't look away.
Yeah.
To your point, Front Row, to your point, ever since Triple H took over, we've had to pay attention to every single second of Raw and SmackDown because of what goes on backstage, even with the backstage vignettes, what's going on behind. This QR code business is the same thing.
Right.
It's having you pay attention to things in the crowd, the signs, people standing behind the camera holding the sign. In all the investigations we're doing and all the little things here and there. I mean, it's like someone smoking weed going, all right, what can we do next? Oh yeah, this is cool. This is cool.
I mean,
it's
probably not far from the truth.
3 Suns away.
And to have Bray Wyatt
up the Capri Suns and the Twinkies.
To have Bray Wyatt, one of the most creative minds in the wrestling business, involved like this, and his creativity is just going to work. I mean, we all know it's probably Bray Wyatt, but to have his creativity going to work in this, it's just, it's like your star player on your team like a football team. And I saw the comment Brian made about the Cowboys. Go Cowboys. It's like the star player you have on your team. Bray Wyatt is the star player. Shut up.
Yeah, and this is a good call out because we were just talking about this. My wife and I were talking about this. If you remember when the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie came out, there was this whole sort of guerrilla marketing around it where everything was hidden, and there were dots on the website that if you figured out where the dots were, it would take you to a live footage of them constructing the Enterprise. It was like all this hidden footage, and that's the sort of stuff that we're seeing here.
Yeah,
I think it's really cool. It's better than just turning the lights off and turning the lights on and saying, surprise, somebody's here.
Right.
Or like MCU stuff. Like if you stuck behind the end of the movie, the stuff that come on in the credits. It's
the end credits. Yeah. The trail.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Agreed. A couple other things I want to call out because we're kind of running low on time. If you watched SmackDown last night, Natty and Ronda had a good match. And of course they have good matches because they're friends and they train together. And it's very physical, very technical. And Ronda did some really interesting transitions that you don't usually see in pro wrestling. But what I thought was really good was the Liv and Ronda pull apart at the end. A lot of times the women's pull aparts are very like, they're kind of staged and there's a lot of hair pulling and stuff.
Yeah.
And here we saw Ronda was going after her, like taking out security guards, and like they were beating the crap out of each other, and they had to be pulled apart for a lot longer than I expected. Did you guys see this part? And like, are you buying into this?
Oh shit!
I didn't see SmackDown last night because of my area. Because I am the greatest truck driver of all time. So sometimes I'm not in the right area, and I was in another time zone. And plus, my app doesn't. Everybody else was watching it while I was behind, so I just didn't get to see it last night.
Yeah. I thought, I don't know. I'm not big on Liv. I don't know what it is. She's decent. I'm still not buying her as champion, and I'm certainly not buying her as someone who can beat Ronda Rousey.
I agree with that. Yeah. I can piggyback on that. Liv was the perfect underdog when she was chasing, but now she's the champion. And in my opinion, you've got to rise above the underdog status when you're the champion. And to me, Liv is still the underdog even when she's holding the title.
Yeah.
And I just think Ronda is just too strong. She's got too much of a name. She's too credible. And I just think Ronda's going to mow her over next weekend at Extreme Rules.
Right. So you know what it reminds me of? You remember when Taylor Swift first got big and like every single you guys are old, so you might not know.
Tiny. She's not that big.
Every single award show that Taylor Swift was on, she was like in the front row dancing along to all the performances, and every time she won an award, like it was like, oh, she's so happy to be there. And after like 5 years of that, it's like, and I'm a massive Taylor Swift fan, so this isn't me hating on her. After like 5 years or so, people were like, why are you still acting like, the young girl who just can't believe she won an award? You've won 50 awards. That's kind of what I feel like about Liv right now is she has a championship and she's supposed to like exude champion. And it's kind of like she's this like shy little girl who's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah. Trenda calls out a good point here. It is Extreme Rules, and they'll be allowed to use weapons. And I think this does level the playing field. However, I think what's going to happen here is Shayna is going to get involved somehow. She's been coming along. Ronda's been getting in her ear. Shayna comes out and helps, which is perfectly legal in an Extreme Rules match. And then Shayna and Ronda just beat the absolute crap out of Liv and get all of the sympathy back on Liv. Ronda takes the title, and now you're back to having, a beloved babyface chasing a heel champion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sounds good to me.
She need a gun in real life. That's probably true.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ronda's no joke. Yeah. So, Deb, did you want to touch on a couple of AEW things before we go to our guest?
Yeah, a couple quick things that I wanted to mention regarding AEW. So Dynamite opened up with Jericho Appreciation Society having a celebration. We saw Luigi Primo spinning some pizzas for like 20 minutes, which is great. And that whole segment and the situation between Jericho and Daniel Garcia right now. And I know I said this to you guys at the time, so I wrote it down. What we've seen with Jericho in the time that he's been in AEW the last 3 years, if you think about every storyline that he's had, the purpose of those storylines is to get the other person over. And right now, that's Garcia. When they do the sports entertainer or wrestler thing, you know, the whole purpose of that was Jericho wanting to get Garcia noticed for how good of a wrestler he is. And now, you know, we have the fans chanting, "You're a wrestler, you're a wrestler." So Jericho molds these people, takes them under his wing, has like a rivalry with them to show their greatness. And then when they're ready, he sets them free. And so that's what's happening with Daniel Garcia right now. Right. And I think in a way, that's also what's happening with Ring of Honor. Jericho is the new Ring of Honor champion. He is, you know, doing a lot of bashing of Ring of Honor. And I think in the end, this is going to get Ring of Honor over because you'll have all the fans going like, no, Ring of Honor's not terrible. Ring of Honor's awesome. And I think that's going to be leading up to whatever, you know, TV deal, streaming, whatever happens. I think that's definitely going to, you know, that's the purpose of the whole thing. Jericho's not like, he's bashing Ring of Honor in order to get it to the heights that it needs to be.
Yeah, and to your point, Deb, it's we're doing a lot of inside baseball tonight.
We need t-shirts.
It's a double-edged sword too, because Jericho is going to make people search it, seek him out, and finally Ring of Honor is going to be somewhere where some new eyeballs can finally find it instead of trying to, you know, the ROH fans frantically looking for it at 3 a.m. on, you know, on Sinclair.
Exactly.
So, or I call it shitflare.
Also, too, that if Ring of Honor is trying to get a TV deal, who better to have as your champion than one of the most innovative sports entertainers in the wrestling business today, Chris Jericho?
Exactly.
It will definitely resonate.
It's a no-brainer.
Right. And I know Bully said this on Busted Open, you know, the same type of people who are mad about Jericho being the new Ring of Honor champion are the same people who are mad about Jericho being the first AEW champion over Adam Page. You just, you know, you have to kind of have that perspective where you understand the purpose behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're going to tune into ROH to watch Jericho get his ass kicked by somebody who's going to take the belt, which will probably be Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, and I get a kick out of people saying, you know, he's the sports entertainer and that's the character he's playing now. But Jericho can wrestle strong style. He can wrestle Ring of Honor style. If he wants to go in there and he has, right, recently. But I mean, now he can go in there and like, he's not one of those guys that you would go, well, he doesn't wrestle a Ring of Honor style. He absolutely can. And, you know, and I agree with you 100%. He's just going to bring more visibility to whatever product they eventually give us. I'm honestly getting like, I want to see what they're going to do because it's been months and months and months now. And I've read stuff about how, you know, Tony only bought the library and he doesn't have, he's waiting for the rest of it to come over. And there's, I don't know all the
I'm sure the legal process is, you know, long and involved and drawn out. You know, that's always, like we're talking about, I know they're not like incorporated like on the stock market, but we're talking about companies. Whenever there's a merger or a buyout, it's always a long process.
Right.
So yeah, I think they're definitely ramping up for something because, Jericho is the new Ring of Honor champion, which is, giving it a lot of attention. We've seen a lot of Ring of Honor matches featured highly on AEW lately. So I definitely think they're ramping up for some sort of an announcement of what's going to be happening with Ring of Honor.
Agreed.
The next thing I wanted to talk about is the women's segment on Dynamite with Saraya and then the match with Toni Storm and Serena Deeb. I know they discussed it on Busted Open, and we kind of discussed it privately on Zoom as well. You guys know I'm a huge fan of Saraya. I think she's fantastic. I think it's unfortunate that her career was cut so short at such a young age. I'm very excited for what she's going to bring to AEW. I just wish they would have maybe given us some sort of hint as far as what her role is. She had that promo on Wednesday, which didn't really say much as far as what she's going to be doing specifically and how she's going to grow the women's division. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, it's Saraya, and I know that because she was very angry about that on Twitter the other day. She was correcting everybody. I'm like, all right, we get it.
Come on, Deb.
But it is. I do think that I think they signed her. I don't know if they signed her too soon. We understand that there's no clarity around whether she's cleared to wrestle or not. She said that she was damaged but not broken, which to me says there's a chance for repair. Maybe they're going to get her to a position where she can get back in the ring. My personal feeling, and I don't know anything about backstage about her, my thinking is that they're hiring her to be a mic, to be a promo person, to do all the stuff, basically all the stuff that Mark does right now, plus maybe either manage somebody or get on the mic and put somebody over. One of the things I thought was really interesting, and I'm glad you brought this up, was she was very nervous. She was very uncomfortable. She's just got to shake off the rust, but she'll be great. It's understandable. All fine. However, when she got a commentary, man, she was sharp-tongued. She was tearing, and she even said there was that one line where she said, "Now that Britt's removed from the picture, the women can actually go out there and wrestle good matches." So I was like, "Whoa!" She's taking real behind-the-scenes type shots, which I love to see.
Yeah.
I liked her on commentary. I just think I'm kind of hesitant about being so invested because we don't know what's going to be yet.
Yeah.
I want to call out. So John, I understand this promo wasn't good. Saraya is very good on the mic. You go back and watch the stuff that she did on Backstage on Fox. You go back and watch stuff that she did on Talking Smack. Her podcast, all the stuff that she's done, she's very good on the mic. She just has to find her footing in AEW, and I think she'll be fine.
And she's live on Twitch for hours every day, just sitting there in front of the camera talking.
Yeah.
Right.
I equate it to just someone being nervous, hadn't said a live promo in a long time. So here she is in front of the fans. And then the whole one thing I did like is when she kind of called an audible. I guess they were counting her down, and she was like, "No, I'm staying out here. And in fact, I'm going to call out the women's division." And just kind of went one step further, kind of forced a segment onto us when we're used to seeing just women's matches and women backstage doing promos backstage. Well, now we're watching a 10-minute segment on TV in the ring, which, yes, I've heard people say it did nothing for them and it was bland. Yeah, when you call out your women's division and only four come out of the back and notable people aren't coming out with them, it was obvious.
Yeah, that was super confusing.
Yeah, but I mean, I pointed out to someone on Discord the other day because he mentioned something about picture-in-picture. Yeah, okay, they went to picture-in-picture at a different time this time rather than the usual time. Yeah, but that was after a 10-minute segment, and during the match they went into picture-in-picture. So the women were featured more on Dynamite this past week than they usually have been. So that is a plus. No matter if the segment did nothing for them or whatever, at least they tried to feature the women in a segment. And I think, one dud, okay, we had one dud, but that's not going to be the way it's going to be every week. So there's room to grow and room to build, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to I see in the chat too, folks are saying there because of the hurricane, and a lot of wrestlers do live in Florida. There was a limited.
That's understandable, but we recently went on AEW.com and looked through the list of the women's roster, and it's like damn near 50 people. So you tell me that when Saraya calls out the women's division to come out and only 4 people came out, you're telling me that the other 46 people live in Florida and couldn't get there?
Mm.
It was just really like, and then Brit's, group came out, but there's still so many more people that they have listed on their roster that are just like not part of the women's division, apparently.
Yeah. And if I'm glad to see Willow getting TV time. I'm a big fan of Willow Nightingale. We saw her a bunch here in Charlotte at Queens of Combat. So to see her on TV in AEW, super happy. But she's not at the top of the women's division.
Yeah. Is she officially signed? And Sky?
I don't know. So
I don't remember ever seeing an announcement that Willow and Sky were signed. So that was also Sky is signed?
Sky Blue was signed. Remember Tony came out and made the announcement after that pay-per-view?
Okay.
Yeah. Sky Blue is signed, but not Willow.
Okay, yeah, because that's also confusing that, she calls out the women's division to come out and represent, and you only get a handful of people and one person that's not even signed there.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
Right.
Well, I think we should probably wrap this up because our guest has been waiting patiently.
Yes, he's very patient.
I am going to step out and let you guys talk to Mitch because I am not an expert in collectibles and y'all are. But I'll jump back in at the end and say hi to everybody. So, Elder, why don't you bring our guest in?
And feel free to hop in if you have any questions, brother. All right, our next guest is he is one of the coolest dudes you could ever meet. He is Mitch, the Hustle Man, Hasttel Toy Roulsten. Here he is in his new store, which was just open a couple of months and doing great.
Oh, it's beautiful Mitch, pink color.
How the hell are you? From Hasttel Toys,
it makes my eyes pop.
How are you, brother?
What's up, guys? How are you? Nice to guys and gals, I should say. What's cooking?
Not much, man. Don't trip. I almost
I know.
I almost tripped on a Pokemon back there.
I feel like you remember that I'm showing my age here. You remember that shot of when Cactus Jack first debuted in Madison Square Garden against Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and he's like laying on the floor after he does the pile driver on the table, and then like the camera is like spinning around his head. That's what I felt like. I just made myself. I just totally made myself dizzy. Ah!
There he is.
This is like the Titantron version of my head. I love it. I'm like,
Mitch, we have your store. Your store was set up. We have pictures up on. It was packed to the rafters in the gills. And now it looks like
now it's all in boxes.
It looks like when you first got there. It looks like when you first got there. How did you flash back?
This is the back room. Look.
Oh my goodness.
Jesus. Yeah, no, we're doing Comic-Con again this year for a second year. It's October. What are the dates again?
6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, I believe, right? Thursday through Sunday?
Yeah. Well, I know it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but I don't know the exact. I don't even know what day it is. Is it Sunday? Is today Sunday?
Saturday. It's Saturday.
Oh, good.
It's Saturday.
And I'm not even drunk yet. This is the insanity.
Wow.
I haven't had one beer yet. But no, it's been a crazy whirlwind of 2 months. Basically, we opened up a store here in Ohio, as well as the one that we had in New York, and then Mike knows this very well, but then I kind of got a look of Canton, and I was like, wow, this is very nice, and the cost of living is a lot less here, and you get a lot more for your money, and the taxes are not as high. New York is just, Mike can tell you, New York is just, it's awful, you know. I love New York. I'm always a New Yorker through and through, but it comes to a point where you can't do it anymore. You know what I mean?
So I've heard.
Yeah, I had like full disclosure, I'm like 900 square foot house. I was paying $8,000 a year in taxes.
Oh my
so
God.
yeah, and now I have a 20-something 2,800 square foot house, and I'm doing it's like $1,500 a year in taxes. So just to give you
makes sense.
Yeah.
Now,
just
Mitch,
to give you
Yeah, maybe I need to move to Ohio.
it's
Mitch,
awesome. I mean,
Mitch, to give everybody an idea, your little store cost you how much to rent a month, and compare it to the size of this store, and what you know.
All right, so
you don't have to disclose everything, but I mean, it's a burden off of your shoulders, isn't it?
The store in New York was like $1,450 a month, and that was without the utilities and all the insurance and stuff like that. Which, in all, all said and done, you were at like probably $2,000 a month to have the store.
And it was tiny.
And then this store here, we're at about $1,400 a month, and it's like twice the size. And we have back room and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of just shows you, there's no comparison as far as cost of living. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So thankfully, collectibles still go for the same amount of money. So I'm in luck there. But other than that, but we always give deals here. Like this week we did, I called it the Road to Comic-Con sale. I always try to gimmick everything up. And it was like 15% off the entire store. And, in addition to whatever deals I usually give, the regulars and first timers and stuff like that. So,
right.
But
Speaking about collectibles, how did you get started with everything? How did you get started with your store and everything?
Just a lifelong collector. My mom started me at a young age with action figures and stuff like that. And then basically I walk around when I talk, so you'll see
hey, that's fine. I love it. I love
having an earthquake.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm there. I feel like I'm there.
People can see stuff. You never know.
Oh my
Holy
gosh.
crap.
Stuff is just getting packed up now, so you can see we have barren shelves, but that's because it's in that box marks the AEW.
Holy crap.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's insane. These are like our pops. We already packed up half of them, but we still have some left, and then there's some glass cabinets and statues and things like that.
I saw Teen Wolf.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So just a lifelong collector, and then basically I still own it technically, but a DJ company for like 22 years, and that was like my full-time job. And we did I did all the MCing and DJing. We had video and photography, and all, we do weddings and sweet 16s and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started as like a hobby. I just started selling like action figures that were surplus just to kind of pay for my own hobbies, like my own collection. And then so everything kind of offset. And then little by little, I started getting notoriety, I guess, because I always did the right thing for people. At least I attempt to. But we all know there's some people you just can't make happy, but I still try. I know
the feeling.
You're the Mission Impossible team. But yeah, no, I mean, just started like that, and then it morphed into an Instagram page, and the Instagram page morphed into an actual storefront, and then it spawned into 2 stores. Sadly, the New York store is closed as of like 2.5 weeks ago. But it was just mainly because I bought a house here now, and it just doesn't. It's hard for me to go back 9 hours to back and forth, and then it's good help is hard to find, even though I do get a lot of good help, Mike. And others, Tony, my buddy Tony, who runs the store here with me, Tony Taylor Toys. Yeah, cheap plug. But yeah, so that's kind of how it started. So onward and upward, hopefully, and the only stressful part is like I literally just landed here and finally almost got my stuff unpacked in my house, and we had the store all set up the way we wanted it. And now it's like Comic-Con, so now we're like ripping stuff off the shelves and kind of dismantling the beauty that is the store. And so now we're packing up, and on Monday night, or Monday afternoon, I'm going to be driving into New York again. So it's like I can't get away for that long.
Rumor has it you and Tony might be shacking up at Casa di Mongrovia.
Oh, the Mongrovian Castle. Oh, yes, the Mongrovian Castle. Yeah, I mean, at least for a day or two, for sure. I depending on how it goes, I kind of want to. I think I want to stay. I've lived in New York my entire life. I'm a New Yorker my entire life up until recently, obviously. And I've never ever once stayed in Manhattan, like stayed overnight. Like I've never stayed in a hotel because I lived in Queens for so long. So basically, like, it's like a one stop on the Long Island Railroad to Woodside, New York. So it's like it never made sense to spend $300 to stay in a hotel when my house was 25 minutes away. Right. So I kind of want to do it just to say I did it now. You know what I mean? Like 40 years old. I turned 40 this year. So it's like, yes, I can finally rest my head in
just
New
to
York.
mark that off the bucket list.
Yes. Yes. My bucket list is very simple,
Yeah.
Very simple.
So if you stay one night at a hotel in New York City, and then how do you pay the next 3 months mortgage?
Well, the good news is that I don't have a mortgage anymore. So I was able to sell my house and buy an entire house here and not have a mortgage.
Beautiful.
So
that's awesome.
Thank God. Like 40 years old. If that's not the American dream, I don't know what is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My parents did a similar thing. My parents bought their house when I was 5 years old, and it was super cheap.
Yep.
And it's a 3-story house, but at the time it was basically an apartment with an unfinished 2-car garage and an unfinished attic. They've remodeled the entire thing and paid off their mortgage by the time they were like 35.
You see that? It's I'm very fortunate, very blessed if you use those type of words, and I don't know, I just I feel very, very fortunate. If I had never met Tony, the guy who runs the store with me here, one of my buddies, Mike knows him pretty well. I would have never. It just kind of all fell into place, and I just hope it works out. I feel like it is, So I just I don't want to jinx anything, but I keep my fingers crossed. And I thank God before I go to sleep, and I say my prayers and I eat my vitamins, brother. And
next time you go to Casa de Mongrovia. When I'm at Casa de Mongrovia next, I'm going to very sneakily put a little New York Yankee sticker somewhere in that room. So when you go there after me, you'll have to find it.
I have to be like an Easter egg hunt. I love these. I love these.
Yeah. We got to go there a couple months ago. We got to go to Mike's house. Me, Deb, and Chris. And to see that
the surprise party.
Yes.
Yeah, I had to swear to his wife that I would not try to have him work or do any kind of help or anything that day. And it was such a hard secret to keep from him.
And you don't want to cross Jackie.
No, but she's a sweetheart if she likes you. So thankfully I'm on the other side of the track. So I'm happy. At least for now.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I'm sorry, brother.
With your wife.
That's true. Yes, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all good. Yeah, it's all good. I was just saying that we got to go over there for the first time, and I've always seen his room there. He's in right now. I've always seen it on camera, but never in person. And I mean, oh my God, it's like a museum. You've been there. It's like
I could have spent hours.
He took the shit out of here and was in his store for a while, so I still see remnants of it floating by me sometimes. I get a little tear in my eye. I know that. I know that from somewhere. But let's go back a little bit. Of course, you taught me how to collar an elbow. You taught me how to get that collar and elbow. Of course, you studied as a wrestler for a little while. You were at Creative Pro for what? How long was it? Long? Did you hurt yourself, or did you just want to move on? Well, what?
Well, I always did like backyard wrestling with my friends, but we would actually watch the TV and try to mimic everything like perfectly, And then when I was 18, I went to wrestling school. It was in Queens. It was called the Dog House. It doesn't exist anymore. It was in Jamaica, Queens. And I trained there for about a year, and then I did a lot of indie stuff. And then I fell out for a little while, not because I got hurt, but just because the DJ company I was trying to build up, I started the company when I was in my early 20s. So, doing that on the weekends and trying to make money, and then, going to wrestle an indie show and, either not getting paid at all or getting paid, a couple of bucks, couldn't do it. Couldn't have a, life. So, So it was like, it was on the back burner. And then I went like around 2007, I went back and I did NYWC for a little while. They had a school. I think they still have a school. And then that's out in Long Island there. And then I did that. And then I wrestled up until about 2011. And then that was the end of it. But I did make 2 appearances not that long ago on the FWF, which is run by Matt Cardona and Brian Myers. So I was on that.
Your own card, didn't they?
What's that?
They gave you your own card, didn't they?
I did. I have 2 cards, 2 trading cards. That was an achievement. I feel like that was, if I don't ever do another thing in the wrestling business, that would be, I can die a happy man. You know what I mean?
And who dubbed you the Hustle Man? Who dubbed you Hustle Man?
Oh, Matt Cardona, that son of a gun. It wasn't, and then in the beginning, he started calling me the Hustle Man because the thing was I wouldn't give him anything for free. I always made him pay for stuff. I did give him a discount, and he hated that because I think there's a lot of people that would just give him free stuff, but I never did that. And then so he started calling me the Hustle Man because I was always trying to hustle him for money, and he felt that because he helped put me on the map.
Hustle you for figures.
Yeah, but I mean, he did.
I'm sure he deserved it.
I will never ever say anything bad about Matt Cardona. If it wasn't for him, truthfully, all kidding aside, like he put me on the map. Like without him, I mean, obviously I had to do good work and be fair to everybody and be nice to customers and stuff and provide good products and things. But he was the one who put my name out there, and without him, I probably wouldn't be talking to you guys right now. So
right. He gave you the rub. He gave you the rub, didn't he?
He does have a tendency to be a little bit of a jerk sometimes, even to me. But
I'm a big fan of his.
He's awesome, but without him, like I said, I probably wouldn't. There would be no HWO. There would be no nothing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So. But he did give me that name, and originally it wasn't for a good reason. It was because he thought I was always trying to get money out of him.
And he's a good guy. He's a good guy because he did come. He came and visited you at close to your grand opening. And,
you were there.
Yes, I was there. He came in and he was really cool, man. He just recorded your whole store and everything. It was a cool situation. So I'm glad. I'm happy.
Nothing but love for Matt Cardona and the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast. We love those guys. So
I've been a big fan of his since the early days of Zack Ryder.
Oh yeah.
I listened to his Matt Cardona story podcast, and Tony and I, and hopefully Mongrovian, if he can swing it, will be in attendance when he goes against Bully Ray at the ECW Arena in December.
Is that in December?
Yeah,
December.
I might have to take the 8-hour drive and meet you guys there.
It's going to be so fun. Bully's going to put Cardona through a table. It's going to be great.
Oh, I can't wait. That is a gun. Yeah. But yeah, that actually should be a good match because I mean, Bully can still go, on a part-time basis. I think, and Cardona's in like the prime of his career right now. So,
right.
If Triple H was smart, I mean. I would have snagged him again, and I would have just called him Matt Cardona. You know what I mean? And you could have made that into an entire gimmick. It could have been like, you know, you guys tried to keep me down, but you know, I you know, prevailed, and I put all the naysayers to rest and things like that, and you know, I didn't need you guys, you know, I don't need to be here, and blah blah blah. It could be such a good gimmick, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
that would be cool. I would be totally down for that. I have heard him in interviews say that, like, he would be open to going to WWE unless they told him that he needed to get rid of his podcast stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, in the beginning, I remember talking to him about it when he and I became friendly. I'm not gonna say we were friends yet, but I do consider him a friend now. But then I think, like, I sold him a prototype wrestling buddy that nobody else had in the world. And that was how I became friendly with him. And then he didn't even have the podcast yet. That was just when he was still working with WWE. And then they let him have the podcast then. So I don't see why they wouldn't let him have it. And it's not like they do anything terrible on there. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
right.
You know,
it's all fun.
Yeah.
You know, Tony, I know you had a couple questions.
Yeah. I like questions.
Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't tell you were asking about me. Okay, so to go back to what you were saying, you when I asked you about the store, and you've always been a collector. How much of your stuff when you were a kid do you still have? Like, do you have some of it floating around the store, or do you keep that for yourself?
I have maybe like I have a large collection of stuff. Believe it or not, like 99.9% of it is non-wrestling stuff. And that's the reason for that is to further this business. In the beginning, I sold a lot of my rare stuff just to kind of get a little bit more notoriety and kind of get the wheels turning a little bit. But I still do have, like, a lot of the sentimental stuff that I had from when I was a kid. I do have a lot of that stuff still, but a lot of it is like Universal Monsters, and I like Batman Returns. It's like my favorite Batman movie. And then, like, you know, old things like that I have. But I have my 2 wrestling belts. Mike's seen them. Mike got a belt from me not that long ago.
I saw that.
Yes.
Big gold.
Yes.
But yeah. So I mean, I do have some.
Do you know? Okay, you said
for that belt.
You said Batman Returns.
Yeah.
You remember the stiff Batman figure that was about yay tall? I don't.
Yeah, that was Applause made those.
Yeah, it was stiff, and he has a cape. I still have that. It's out of the
His arm
box.
just went up and down like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got
I
that,
that.
Mitch. I know I saw that in the store.
I have it, and I have the penguin that goes with it too. There was
a
penguin. He had like a coat.
Yeah.
He's like my favorite Batman villain, Danny DeVito. I thought he was excellent as the Penguin.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
They upset me though with the whole Batgirl thing. Because Michael Keaton actually was Batman again, and now they canceled that Batgirl movie. So the chances are, of seeing it is pretty slim at this point.
Yeah. A little birdie told me that you're also into Ghostbusters.
Oh, forget it. That's like my life passion.
Awesome.
Aside from my son, yeah. But I have 2 replica proton packs. One is like fully functional. It has like a vape system in it, and it vapes and it vents, and it has both soundtracks from both movies.
Oh wow.
Yeah, if you go to my other Instagram page, it's mostly dedicated to Ghostbusters stuff. Okay. But I have videos of it on there with like the sound, and it vibrates. It has like a motor inside of it. It's sick. It's pretty sick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. There's a house a couple miles down the road here that has an Ecto 1 car in their driveway. I'll next time I drive that way, I'll see if it's in the driveway, and I'll take a picture of it.
There you go. I'd love to see that actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I see them riding around town once in a while. I'm just north of Allentown.
Oh, cool. Okay. I like it over there, actually. PA.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
So
everybody says that.
It's not bad.
Mitch, I got a question out here. John out in our chat here says, do you have any Kinnikuman items in your store? That's a Japanese wrestling cartoon.
I don't think so.
I can see by your face.
A lot of that import stuff is hard to get, unless you live in Japan.
Right.
Then it's pretty accessible.
It's not imported.
Is it? I don't know. It might be. I mean, everything's kind of imported, right? But those things are like, they call them imports because they're not readily available. Like you can't. Most of the stuff I don't think you can go to Target and get, unless he's talking about. I think the stuff that Super 7 put out was New Japan, right? So.
It might have been. You had some of those, the NJPW guys. You had a few
Correct.
of them.
Yeah, they had Osprey.
Steven, our own boy Steven out here says, "What was the one action figure that took you the longest to find to add to your collection?" I guess he means when you were younger. But you could also tell him you used to rig up posted pictures the other day actually that back in the day you would paint and rig the figures up to you would customize your certain figures.
Yeah, well, I love the Hasbro figures, and when they stopped making those back in like 1994 and late 94, like I couldn't let go of them even as a teenager. So what I did was I would break them apart. Like I would get extra ones and I'd break them up, and then I'd use acrylic paint and I'd paint them up and glue them together. So like Papa Shango, like with the top hat, like he turned into Droz because Droz was wearing. So I would paint them up to look like Droz, and they're pretty cool. I found a few of them. I uncovered them. A few. They're almost like relics now. But I still can't believe how old I am. But it was like I uncovered all these. I felt like Indiana Jones down there in the dungeon in my house. Like I'm digging through these crates and I'm like finding all this shit.
Speaking of Indiana Jones, the stone you had, man. You were like,
the Sankara stone. Oh yes.
You were like a little kid playing with that freaking thing in the store. Yeah, I was like, look at this guy. Like Kalima.
Yeah. But the hardest thing. All right. So when I was a kid. This transcends to adulthood also, because that'd be the only type of person that would be able to afford such a thing, unless you're rich or something like that. But that movie Dick Tracy, I don't know if you guys have ever seen. Dick
Warren Beatty.
Love it. One of my all-time favorite movies as a kid. Touchstone Pictures. Disney didn't want to touch it, so they put it to their sister company, and that's how it got released. But it was a great movie. Had an all-star cast: Dustin Hoffman, Al Pacino, Madonna, Warren Beatty. But
Warren Beatty banging everybody.
Yeah. So, I heard actually. Side note: I heard Warren Beatty actually bought. He owns Dick Tracy. Like he owns the
rights.
He owns all the rights to it. So he was talking about like years ago, like 15 years ago, they want to make a sequel, which I don't know how they're going to do that because they killed everybody off at the end. Spoiler alert. But. So, I basically what happened was they released the toy line. This is an epic toy story here. This is going to take at least 5 minutes. So brace yourself, folks. If you need a drink, go get yourself a drink and then quickly come back and listen. So basically, what happened was the toy line Playmates released the toy line for Dick Tracy, and they were the same people that made like the Ninja Turtle figures and all that stuff back. So anyhow, so they released all these figures. They had the prune face, flat top, Dick Tracy, Sam Ketchum, Big Boy Caprice, all these guys. And the one figure that they made, cover your ears, another spoiler coming. The blank was like the mysterious person in the movie. He had no face, and it would walk around, and you didn't know until the end of the movie who it was. So it turns out it was Madonna the entire time. She was the culprit, killing everybody or whatever. So they released this figure. But in the package, there was her face was covered, so you couldn't see who it was.
Oh wow!
And then when you open up the package, you took the mask off, and it was Madonna underneath.
Huh.
So Disney caught wind of this, that Playmates had made this figure, because I guess they let them see an advanced copy of the movie or whatever. So they made this figure, and now there's this figure of the blank that it spoils the entire ending of the movie. So now if you bought this figure and it was in Toys R Us, and you took it off, you know that because the figures back in the day would come out before the movie came out, so they would increase the hype of the movie. Yeah. So now with this stupid figure floating around, now they're like, holy shit! Now the whole movie's spoiled. So now all these kids are gonna get this, and nobody's gonna care about the ending of the movie. So what they did was Disney puts out this thing, the Playmates, and they're like, pull all the blank figures out of the package, but you can release every other one.
Yeah.
So now these figures are sitting in a warehouse somewhere in boxes. They were going to put them in Series 2. They were going to make another series of Dick Tracy, and they were going to put these in Series 2. But what happened was, it's a long story, people. And this is very simple. This has almost ruined my childhood. Okay, so I have to be a little dramatic. All right. So what happened was, so all these figures are sitting in a warehouse now, kind of look like that, with all these boxes stacked up of the blank, just this one figure. And now the movie doesn't do well at the box office, so now they're not making Series 2. So now all these blank figures are sitting there. So it gets better. So Sears, I'm almost positive it was Sears. Remember back in the day when we were kids and they would send those big catalogs at Christmas time?
The Wish book.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So now all these blanks they send to Sears. Sears buys them out, like in a closeout or whatever. They probably got them for 50 cents a piece, whatever the story was. So now the only place to get it is the Sears catalog at Christmas time that year, whatever the story was.
Yeah.
But here's the catch. It's the Sears catalog in Canada. So now,
oh my God.
So now everybody else in the world is screwed. Then you can't get this figure because there was no internet back then. We all know this. So the only way to get this figure was in Canada from the Sears catalog.
Wow.
So anyways, I never got this figure as a kid.
So would you say that'd be a holy grail?
Well then, fast forward to like 2000, I think it was like 2010 on eBay. I found one and I got it for like $500.
Oh wow!
So,
wow.
Something happened. I bought a car. I don't know what it was. A couple of years later, so I wound up selling it for like $800 or whatever.
Wow.
Now I'm like shit. Like years later, I'm a dad now. I want to get my collection going. Like I have a little bit of money. All right, so I'm gonna go back and buy this figure, and I wound up having to buy it for like $1,500.
Oh man.
Now it's worth like $3,000 something.
Wow.
So that's the long-winded answer to that question. Aren't you glad he asked?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Story.
So Seth says in the chat that apparently, I don't remember this. Apparently, that figure was featured on an episode of Ethan Page's Toy Hunt.
Possible.
I don't remember that, but yeah, I'm a religious watcher of Ethan Page's Toy Hunt vlog on YouTube. Next time AEW goes to Ohio, we definitely have to let him know about your store.
Yeah, I'd like for him to come.
We definitely tweeted him out that, Mitch. We tweeted that out to him when he was talking. He was on Busted Open a few weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
We both were tagging him in that.
Yeah.
If you're in Ohio, go to Hasttel Toy.
By the time he comes back around, the store should be restocked and everything. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's basically what's going to happen is we're taking most of the stuff out. I'm going to combine it with some other stuff I have in storage at New York, and then after the Comic-Con is over, basically we're gonna have to bring most of the stuff back that doesn't sell. Hopefully we sell it all, but I'm just wishful thinking.
Right.
And then it'll probably take us at least half a week to get everything back and going again. So,
yeah.
All right. So you're setting up a booth. You're gonna set up your booth at the New York Comic-Con.
Yep.
We know we're gonna see a lot of wrestling shit. What else we're gonna see there? Star Wars stuff. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Back to the Future.
I'm not. Oh, we definitely got Back to the Future. Turtles, a lot of turtles. I got a lot of Lucy's. I got a lot of carded stuff. We got statues. A lot of Spider-Man stuff. Comic book Funko Pops. Anything you could possibly. The only thing I'm not bringing is comic books. I know it's New York Comic Con, but the comics we brought them last year. I brought like maybe 30 long boxes with me, and we didn't really do that well. I mean, I may have sold like $400 worth of comics the entire 4 days. So
wow,
it really wasn't. We did excellent with the toys, and we killed it with everything else. But the comics didn't really do that well for us because it's not really our main drag. I mean, we do have a decent amount of comics here, but it's not. It's not our bread and butter, I guess.
Figures are so hot right now.
Yeah.
Like everybody's collecting figures.
Yeah, and they keep, and the more people collect, the more and more they keep making, and the more they keep putting out, and the market is just so overflown right now with
And it doesn't end. It doesn't end when someone comes in and goes, "Hey, Mitch, I have some stuff I want to sell," and then like you look at it, and like inside, you're probably like a little like that little 5-year-old kid walking into a toy store, but you got
that's the part that really,
okay, you know, because it's a business, right? I mean, you got to know what to offer. What do you look for? What do you look for first and foremost?
Just about anything. I mean, most of the stuff's got to be in good condition. You know what I mean? Could be loose, could be carded, but I'm pretty selective. I mean, we have so much stuff that it's like I'm pretty selective about what I take in at this point. Like it's got to be stuff that I know I can use and that we don't have an abundance of. Like sometimes people walk in with these like massive crates and boxes of like used, you know, wrestling figures that looks like they got dragged through the mud and some dog, you know, pooped it out or something. It's like some of the stuff that I have to handle. It's just, you know, it's not an easy job.
But you have a method of making the stuff look mint, though. It's almost mint, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you clean it up. You got to shine it up real nice. You know what I mean? And that's it. You know, but it's not an easy job, folks. You know, I don't wish it on anybody. I don't wish it on anybody.
Stephen asked, what is the one wrestling action figure that is worth the most money?
Everybody asks me these questions. It's tough. I mean, Jakks was the company that had the license to make the WWE figures before Mattel took over, and they made some like one of 100 figures. Like there's only 100 made. They were like Toy Fair exclusives, and then there's like these. They were smart, man. I mean, they did like this Ultimate Warrior figure where they only made 5 of them. So there's only like 5 of them. I don't even know how they got that through the production line, but there's only 5 of them made. You know, so some of those figures are the ones that, you know, are really sought after, and those are the ones that people really look for. But some of the old LJNs, like the big rubber ones that everybody had, that, you know, they featured them on Toys That Made Us on Netflix and stuff. Some of those later ones, like the Warlord, and they made like an Ultimate Warrior. There's you know, ones like those, like there's an Andre with a black strap. There's ones like towards the end that people really look for, and if you have them in really good condition, they could be a few $1,000s a piece.
Right.
So
and the accessories as well too, right? I mean, that's like if someone has the shock stick for the Mountie, or
or the snake, project the snake.
Iron.
Yeah,
what
because
about
you got to figure
the wrestling rings and stuff like that.
Believe it or not, like a lot of these old figures, like the LJNs or the Hasbros, I mean, it's like they came out like almost 40 years ago, some of them. So it's like, you know, 87, you know, so what are we doing? It's 2022. So yeah, so like 37 years ago, you know what I mean? It's like they're almost you know, they're over a quarter of a century old, you know, like they're going on half a century. You know, so like think about all these like Jake the Snake's rubbery snake, like how many dogs chewed them up and kids swallowed them. And, you know what I mean? They're buried in Uncle Tom's backyard. You know, like it's just they didn't really survive the test of time because you know they were just. And who thought back then? Nobody thought an action figure would ever be worth anything. It's like, oh, you play with it until it broke or faded, and then you throw it in the garbage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
what's the hot retro figure right now? Like for a while, it was the Hasbro figures. That's I think those are like mine and your favorites of the whole lines of the figures. But what do you see? What's coming up? What's coming up on the horizon? What do you see people starting to collect more of, you know, like the Jakks or the, you know what I mean?
Well, the Bendhams started coming around now because they were like the ones with the rubber and they wire arms and stuff like that. Like because the major podcasts started releasing their own versions of these.
Yeah, I've been seeing their ads for those bendies.
Yeah, so those started going up, and the minute I like they look like this. So like the minute they started coming out, I knew right away that they were going to be, you know, all the other ones were going to start going up. But the Hasbros aren't out yet. Like now, all these other companies are making Hasbro-esque figures. They have to call them vintage style or retro style because they can't call them Hasbro style. So they call them all these other names. But everybody knows. I mean, like it's one of those things. If you know, right? Like they're Hasbros. Like they look like Hasbros. They smell like Hasbros. They're Hasbros, right?
Who's the hot AEW figure that, you know, the new figures that who's the hot one that you just can't keep in stock or at all? Like soon as
right now, everybody's favorite friend, CM Punk. I think that's the hot one right now. Yeah,
of course. I think you would have figured that. For a while it was Darby Allin, right?
Well, yeah, Darby's still hot though. Like I just
Darby
packed up a
comes
bunch
in and goes, right?
A dubs, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm bringing a bunch of heat to New York, so you got it.
Speaking of this, you sell all this stuff, but you also do other stuff. You have meet and greets, and I know personally I've been to a lot of them. My LaGreca Fathead has been signed at about 6 of your events. And, and it's always a good time. It's always a good time. You treat the people that wait online good. You come out, you offer them water and soda or whatever. You take care of people. You take care of the talent that comes in with you. I know personally that you do that. But tell us about the meet and greets. You recently started. You had your first 2. Tell us about it and what's in line, what's in store.
Well, we did 2 so far, and we've only been open here for about 5 months, but we did 2 already. We had Rhino like last month, and then this month in September we had Godfather. That was pretty good. Ooh. So both very good. Charles he's become like a friend of mine now. He's kind of like an uncle now. It's pretty cool. He's a good guy. Yeah,
I'll take him.
It's funny. Randomly he'll text me now, and it's just something funny. So it's cool. It's if you had gone back and told 8-year-old Mitch that you're gonna one day you'll be friends with Papa Shango, and be like, because that was my dinner, and then obviously
Papa Shango, the Godfather.
Papa Shango is your buddy.
Hey, where's the home train? What the?
You just it's cool. It's cool. I sometimes I just become, not that I become like numb. It's just like one of those things because now it's like a job, right? So it's fun. It's still fun, but it's also like there's stress involved with like picking them up from the airport, make sure the hotel is nice, make sure they eat and whatever. And then it's like, but the little kid in you, sometimes like I literally have to take a step back, and it's like, I like how I can do that. See that? I take a step, and then I crush my foot as I do that. Yes. But it's like you take a step back, and it's and you really like kind of just let it sink in. It's like, holy shit! Like really, I'm like, I'm like know these people now. It's cool. Like, I wouldn't say I'm still pretty passionate. Like me and Mike could still talk about wrestling and stuff. I don't find myself watching it as much as I used to, only because, especially the last few months with moving here and back and forth and everything like that. But I'm always down to talk about it, and I'm still intrigued by wrestling. Like being inside the wrestling world, and then whatever. It's just I never became desensitized to it. Like I still enjoy it.
Yes, well, we were like little kids when we were in that front row there in Canton, Ohio, weren't we?
Remember that? I was like,
awesome? We were in the front row. How do you like that?
I kept saying like, yes. And I kept saying, like, I said, Rhea Ripley knows who I am because she's friends with my friend. And then she came down my ass.
You got whipped with Bianca Belair's hair.
She whipped my ass. Yeah, that was pretty bad. She just missed my eye. It's like
I fanboyed out for her and Rhea. Yeah.
One thing I want to ask. You were talking about the action figures and the pops and stuff, and I have a story to tell about the pops in just a second. But nice. What is more valuable to you or on the market? If an action figure, of course, I'm sure the answer is in the box, but how much does it decrease the value of something if it's out of box?
It always, I'm going to say like 99.9% of the time, the figures are always worth less when they're out of the package because they've been touched by human hands. Yeah. They've been soiled by dirty children's hands and things like that, but they're always worth more in the package. It's very rare that you'd see one like the same price, both in both conditions. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, the reason I ask is because, I asked you earlier at the beginning of your interview about how much stuff you had that you held on to from your childhood. Well, when I was growing up, I had the Hasbro figures that I had bought. Of course, I tore them out of the package. if I had the head now back then and kept everything in the package, I'd be set. But you know, Castle Grayskull, wish I still had all that stuff. But when I was in a relationship, and we all have this story, I'm sure. And I took my entire, I had the ring, the Hasbro ring, the blue ring. I threw it in the dumpster I threw everything in the dumpster thinking that was going to make her love me more. And it didn't work. But I'm out of a collection,
Right.
And so I've spent, and these guys, and especially Mike, has helped me kind of rebuild that collection, because I'll get on eBay or whatever, and I'm going to start getting on your Instagram page and stuff and start replenishing my stuff, that I had, and wrestling magazines and everything, But
I got your back.
Yeah. It pains me when I think about it, because it was just something that I did, stupid. But I have built my collection back up even more now. I have a whole bunch of stuff in my collection, in my collectible room at home, that I'll share with you sometime.
I was gonna say, you got to send me photos and stuff.
Yeah. But another thing I wanted to ask. Okay, so our good friend Chad from Albany got a lot of us started with Funko Pops.
Yeah.
Me and Deb especially.
No, I was buying them before him.
Okay. Well, he got me started on them.
Chad. No.
He got me started on them. I had never bought a Funko Pop ever until I met Chad. And now I have a shit ton of Funko Pops, and I have like 11 or 12 of them autographed. And they're in the cases, the hard cases and everything.
Oh, yeah.
The only one I don't have, there's a Funko Pop right there. The only one I don't have autographed is CM Punk, but I have the pop. So how well do Funko Pops do with in your shop?
We sell quite a bit of them. I feel like maybe over the last like 3 or 4 months, I feel like Pops they kind of like weaned a little bit. I think they've outlasted my expectations of how, like, the longevity of the popularity of these things.
Right.
I thought they would kind of go down the route of like the Beanie Baby.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And like, it's now like Beanie Babies are worthless. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not that they would be to that extent like worthless, because they're much cooler than Beanie Babies.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like eventually they're gonna, maybe in the next like 2 or 3 years, I feel like they might not be as popular as they were. You know what I mean?
Well, I will admit that I had, like I said, I started collecting Pops, and I would only collect stuff like from pop culture that I was into, or that I grew up with, or wrestling.
Right.
And I've found myself at a plateau. Like I've peaked. And now I was telling Deb last night, I haven't bought a Pop, and I can't even remember when. I think the CM Punk Pop was the last Pop I got, and that was 6 months ago off of eBay.
I think a lot of people are in your boat, because I think that's what's happening right now, is because they've also oversaturated the market, and like,
right. There's so many of them,
and there's a Pop of everybody, and there's Chase Pops, exclusive Pops.
Yeah,
it's too much to keep up with, and eventually, and not to mention, unless you're, Bruce Wayne, you don't have enough room to store all these Pops.
Tell me about it. My room right here. These guys have seen it. I don't know if I can easily pick up my computer and show you guys.
Like, you see? Yeah. And that's another thing. That's what I was going to say too. Like, if you start taking them out of the box, you may be able to fit a few more.
Yeah.
But you've already done that,
I've always taken most of my Pops out of the box, just because I was in it for collecting stuff that I liked. I was not in it for resale value.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I didn't really care about the resale value, because I don't intend to sell them. Right. So most of them on these shelves are out of the box. So me and Seth combined have a total of 352.
Wow.
And so that ranges from, like, we have a whole bunch of Star Wars, some Pokemon, some Marvel. He has a lot of anime ones. Wrestling, Lord of the Rings, Doctor Who, Harry Potter, like, and a whole bunch of random ones.
You know what I'm talking about? That it's like, it just trickles on, and it's like,
right. So, I mean, I kind of plateaued as well, just because, like, since we have so many, and I have bought in a lot of the ones that I wanted, there's not a lot of other ones that I want. Did he just leave?
I think he dropped.
Lost.
Oh man.
There he is.
Oh, there he is.
I think I'm here.
He back.
Yeah. So there's not a lot of other pops that I want right now. Like there's some that are coming out that I really like that I have gotten, but also the problem is you go to a lot of stores, and unfortunately in my area where I live, there's not a lot of great collectible stores like your store. You know, we look up online like collectible stores or comic stores, and then we go there and it's like this tiny little place that has maybe 2 pops on the shelf.
Right.
So, you know, and you go, like, we go to Hot Topic, FYE, and the stuff that's on their shelves, unless you go there when they first get released, the stuff that's on their shelves are the low sellers that nobody wants.
Right.
So a lot of the times when I do want a certain specific one, I have to just pre-order it online. Yeah. And then I run the risk of, like, happened with me a couple times with Amazon, happened with the Towelly, the from South Park Towelly. I pre-ordered that, and 6 months later when it was supposed to get released, they canceled my order and told me that it wasn't available and I had to reorder it again if I wanted it. Well, screw that. I bought it 6 months ago.
By that time, then you freaking run the risk of them being sold out, and then you have to go to another platform, like, eBay or whoever.
Right. So there's not a lot lately that I want, and we have so many. But I do like the ones that we have.
They are cool, and then, you know, they do pull a doozy out every so often, so they are. You know.
There's just certain ones. Yeah, I'm waiting on the Dusty one and the Rob Halford one. So now it's just like pick and choose. But now we're gonna wrap things up in a minute. But we have our own very own Mr. Front Row wants to come on and ask you a question, Mitch.
Okay,
he's got a question for you. Come on in, Mr. Rowe.
Hey, there he is.
Hey, Mitch, how are you? Good to meet you, man.
You too, man. I think I may have met you briefly in the dungeon, Mike's dungeon there. But
I think so. I think we've been on Zoom a few times together. No, I'm enjoying this conversation. I'm 51, so a lot of the toys of my childhood I'm seeing go for these crazy amounts of money now. Stuff that our parents threw away years ago.
Some of the Star Wars stuff from that generation.
I had a lot of those Star Wars Kenner figures, but I was a big Transformers guy, and my son's been helping me rebuild my Trans.
Ooh!
Oh my goodness! Wow! Yes. I had the small one with the Darth Vader case, the Darth Vader plastic case. Yeah.
Yeah, that you would be able to put them in like the collector's case.
Yeah. So my son's been helping me rebuild my G1 Transformers collection. How do? Yes, I remember that. Oh my goodness. I remember what those smelled like out of the package.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's the first thing you do is smell the freaking smell the figure.
Smell the glove.
I swear those LJNs let some dopamines loose. I know it.
So I'm glad that people like you are out there helping us relive our childhood and helping us share all these memories with our own families, you know?
Yeah, I try.
I'm doing God's work. To your point, once again, to steal your phrase there, Front Row. Mitch, how many dads and moms come in with their kids and like show them and like they like the kid, you had that one kid was like, he knew, he was like, oh, this is NECA, oh, that was Kenner made that one. Like the kid knows the kid sounded like Mitch. I was like, Mitch, did you is that you? Like, I didn't know. The kid, he was like 6, 7,
my son is like that with wrestling now because he he watches all these YouTube videos of all these, most of them are British guys, but they tell you old history of all the different stuff that happened in wrestling and like each wrestler's bio and stuff. So my son is like a sponge. He picks up all these things and like he'll come in and be like, hey, by the way, like you remember the 1992 Royal Rumble when Ric Flair won the world title and Sid he threw over Hulk Hogan because Sid helped him, and I'm like, what? Like 10 years old, you weren't even like a thought in anybody's mind, what? So, but yeah, some of these kids, man, are very educated,
Mitch, what about the kid coming in? The kid that came in with his grandma and his dad and mom, and he was like, I'm like, I figure, he's gonna want Seth and Roman Reigns and Cody. No, this kid's like, I'm looking for Vader. I need you got Papa Shango, you have Kamala, and it's like he's like, I'm like, what happened? But that has to make you feel the best, right? When you see that, like when you see these younger kids and the parents do it with their kids.
It's gratifying when
and
I
the
have
ones
stuff
that
that people want.
you green off, and let the ones that peel it off, not the ones that say, yeah, look and go, not those fuckers.
Mike's pet peeve is when the parents come in and they let their kids walk around and they don't even buy them anything. Like they don't buy them anything. Like
we've heard that. We've heard that rant.
We have something for. I mean, I don't care if you had $1 in your pocket. We have something for everybody. So I don't just have high end stuff, low end stuff. I get it, but like my son would never allow me to go in anywhere and not at least buy him something small. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Mike gets so mad, and I'm like, Mike, come down.
He's got a lot of pet peeves.
He's got a lot of pet peeves.
It's like when we're driving Dunkin' Donuts and then say no.
When we're on the highway coming back from New York, or when we're driving back from Ohio, and somebody cuts me off, forget it, man. If Mike was outside the car and that person was on the road, man, forget it. They'd be finished. They'd be give him the big elbow, and that'd be the end of it.
I'll channel my inner Abdullah the Butcher.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I don't think that the front row ever asked his question, did he?
No, I was just I actually wasn't a question. I wanted to
jump in. Mike was like, yeah. He didn't even give you a chance.
Hey, man, I'm from New England. I'm used to these New Yorkers stepping on us all the
So
time.
rude.
This is what happens.
I denounce my New York hood now. That's it. I'm Ohio. I'm on the other side. That's it. I'm a turncoat. That's it.
No, I wanted to thank you for helping us relive our childhood and
of course
going to all these shows and seeing how vibrant the community is. It's really exciting.
I appreciate it.
You've officially put us over the limit of our longest show, and it seems like
it's worth it. It's totally worth it.
It feels like it was only 15 minutes.
Another bucket list checked off.
On that note, I want to thank you for your time for jumping on with us today. You're always welcome to come and promote or whatever you want to do.
Anytime.
Yes.
Next time I come on, now that we all know one another, it'd be good. Now I can start talking about wrestling and current events and things like that.
Sure, yeah, man.
I was listening.
You could throw me under the bus and tell everyone what I sound like sleeping, like you thought zombies were coming.
Mike?
All right, we gotta go. We gotta go now.
Now we gotta go. All right. All right, guys.
Mitch,
thank you so much.
Tell everybody the socials. Tell everybody the socials how they can get in touch.
Hasttel. Hasttel Toy. Instagram is the best way. If you don't have Instagram, Facebook is the best way. If you don't have Instagram or Facebook, you just SOL, and that's it.
That's awesome.
All right, man. Thank you very much.
And if you're looking for anything, you don't have to go to Canton, Ohio, right?
You can't in Ohio.
If you can't in Ohio, you can go right on Instagram, right?
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Later, brother.
Love you, bro.
That
Thanks.
was awesome.
Yeah.
That was
awesome.
fun.
That was a great
that
conversation.
dude. I love that dude.
It didn't even seem like 2 hours. It really didn't. It didn't seem like an hour of conversation, man. It was.
Yeah. Oh my
It was
god.
a fun time.
I got to go to that store.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what kept me going
Yeah.
driving with him.
Yeah. And I will definitely tweet at Ethan Page and Smart Mark next time they're going to Ohio.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, he's a good dude. We got to get him back on. Maybe he can do a featured segment of what the featured collectible of the month is or something like that. We'll talk to him offline, figure something out. But I like that dude.
Yeah.
Get him for the next big sign, whatever he has, the next signing or read he has, maybe, definitely.
Sure. Cool. All right. Well, guys, why don't you tell everybody where people can find you on the socials?
I am at That's So Debonair on the Twitter machine and at Truth Resist Simplicity on Instagram.
Tony?
I am at Tony Justice, AJFA, And if you're a Metallica fan like I am, and I know Elder is, and I know Front Row is, I know everyone here is.
Yeah.
You know what that means.
Mike?
And I'm Mongrovian Mike, and you could find me anywhere ranting something to be missing me off.
Just go outside and listen. You can hear
him. Do you hear what I hear?
And you can log on to our Discord any day and get the live rants from Mongrovian Mike.
Shout out to the people on Discord.
Discord.gg/Nations Corner.
Yes.
Yes. Link in the bio on the Twitter as well if you want to go look up there. I am PW Front Row, and you can see on the bottom of the screen, we're on Twitter at Nations Corner and all other platforms at The Nations Corner. Awesome. Looks like it's going to be a fun week. We got Extreme Rules next weekend. We'll talk about that on our show on Saturday before the pay-per-view. Man, hope everybody has a great week.
Yes.
We'll see you later.
You too. If yours out there.